Hey, what's going on? Barnaby here. Check this out. Abraham Lincoln once said of Michigan, "Thank God for Michigan," because we were some of the first responders when Washington was under attack in the Civil War. Chris Carone, Director of Education at the Grand Rapids Public Museum, we got a brand new exhibit happening here that's all about Michigan's role in the Civil War.
Yeah, this tells the story from a national, a regional, and also a personal perspective about why the war happened and why should we care today.
You know, and kids are just getting out of school right now as I speak because summer vacation is coming, and what are you going to do with them except hopefully teach them more about a national, a local, and a really personal look at the Civil War. I mean, you got some great artifacts here at the museum.
Yeah, the museum has been collecting since the Civil War. So a lot of these things were things that guys carried and then brought back and gave to the museum.
Yeah, look at this right here. I mean, you've got the hardtack right there, which is like rations for the field. And what's that thing right there?
That was called a housewife. Local women would make those so the guys could sew their uniforms when they were out in the field.
You know what? This is a sneak peek at an exhibit that opens up on June 13th. And it is going to just light up your kids as regards the Civil War. There's a little history lesson waiting to happen. Like this picture right here. That is actually a doctor from where?
Well, from Michigan. Thank God for Michigan. You know, there were a lot of surgeons who served as both field medical officers and also just kept community health in the camps during the war.
Yeah, take a look at this. I mean, kids are obviously, we all hear about the battlefield horrors of amputations. These are actual amputation kits. Here's an exhibit that shows you just the brutality of the ordnance. I mean, that is a bullet, for all intents and purposes, lodged in a piece of wood. Chris, that's about the size of an acorn. That would do some serious damage.
It sure would. And we look at how the technology in those weapons changed as a result of the war to keep people safer, but also to make the Army more effective.
What a great exhibit. It's going to just teach kids about the Civil War in a way that they are ready to receive, with all sorts of great artifacts and really touching stories about people left on the home front. We've got a little writing desk right here. And so, Chris, let's talk about that.
We have the wonderful words of Rebecca Richmond, who wrote a diary during the war. She was very interested in the romance of the war and how the guys looked in their uniforms, but she came to realize as the war went on and these guys started coming back and being buried in town that it really wasn't that romantic. People have a chance to sit down, read her diary, her actual thoughts as the war progressed.
Boy, and I guess over time she grew increasingly despondent about it and actually stopped writing in her diary because what once was kind of a romantic notion of war suddenly became just a horror story on a daily basis.
Yep, and again, a great local story. Her family donated the land that became Richmond Park on the west side.
You know what? Who would think that Grand Rapids had any part in the Civil War? We're so far north, and yet we did, and it's time for you, the parents, to teach your kids about it in a way that they're going to love. This is living history. Speaking of which, look at this. It's an officer's tent. Chris, most exhibits in museums, it's like, hey, stay back, hands off, but you're invited to do a little touching here.
We want people to really experience it with all their senses. And so they'll be able to lay down on a cot in the officer's tent. They'll be able to try on facial hair of the Civil War.
Nice.
They'll be able to smell the gunpowder or the coffee from the war. We want them to be able to experience this with all their senses and really learn better that way.
How long is this exhibit going to run?
Exhibit opens June 13th. It'll be open about a year, and it's free with general admission every day.
That is such a deal. You know what, folks? Summertime, the kids are excited at the outset, but then the days grow long and the kids are always looking for something to do, and this would be something that would be very meaningful for your children to do. And so get on down to the Public Museum of Grand Rapids. Very affordable. Hey, and you know what? Consider a family membership, because then it becomes really affordable, especially on rainy days. You go, let's go to the museum and see what's happening now.
Can't think of a better thing to do.
What's the good web address?
www.grmuseum.org.